Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on another video. If you are new, my name is Yasmine and I am a single working mum from London. I work as a commercial project manager during the day, and in my downtime, I obviously run my social medias as well. I'm in just under £50,000 worth of debt, so I'm just doing everything I can to try and earn as much money as quickly as I can to pay the debt down and to get myself into a much better financial situation. But I am determined to enjoy my life while I'm doing that. So today we're going to have a look at my May budget, but before we do that, we're going to have a little dip into what happened in April, what went well, what went not so well, and then we'll have a look at what the budget looks like for May. So I'm just going to zoom in here so that you have a better view. Cool. Okay, so you can see here my overall numbers for April, where my income was expected to be £6,200 and it actually came out at £6,068.10. My expenses, I expected £2,156 and they came out at £2,236, so a little bit above. And so my income was a little bit down compared to what I expected. My expenses were a little bit higher. My bills, I was expecting 1,860 and they came in at 1,855, so very small variance there. My savings were 450 and my debts were a little bit lower than I expected. I was expecting £1,737, but I actually paid £1,522. I do try to work to a zero-based budget, so there isn't any carryover and I'm perfectly happy with that. Any money that I have that hasn't gone towards bills and expenses, I do try and put into savings, which you'll see in a second is actually more like sinking funds. So a quick income breakdown for you. I had a total income of £5,400 from 2 jobs. So that is from any money that I earn through my limited company, which is mostly around content creation and working with brands. And that is also encompassing my full-time day job salary. And I'm quite new in role, so you'll see in a little while, but going forward, that might be a bit lower. I wasn't paying into the company pension for March's pay, which is what I spent in April. So that was probably a little bit higher than it will be going forward. But I just bulk those two together just so that my actual salary information isn't there online. I was expecting a child maintenance of 500 and I was actually given 550, and I think that is because we are paying for a school trip for my daughter at the moment, so my ex has sent a little bit of extra money to contribute towards that. Selling, I was hoping to sell £200 worth of stuff. I only sold £93. I had a really good start to the month with Vinted and then I fell off the bandwagon. I was so busy with work, I didn't really have any time to focus on it. And I wanted to side hustle £100 and I only side hustled £25, which was, I think, a payment from Top Cashback. I'll leave a link below for Top Cashback. It's a great cashback site. I think with my link, you might get a bonus as well when you sign up. I find it's a really good one for insurances and big purchases like that. So definitely check it out if you haven't used it before. So that meant my total income was the 6,068 as opposed to the 6,200 that I was predicting. Moving on to expenses for April. Dog food was there or thereabouts, £88 versus £85. Food was a bit over. I tried to keep it to 200 because I did have a Gusto box. You guys quite often use my code to get your first Gusto box with 65 to 70% off. And when you do that, I get a bit of credit. And so when I use the Gusto boxes, I use that to try and keep my food bill a little bit down. But I did overspend by the £33.54. I found April particularly difficult to stick to food plans and budgeting and everything because, again, like I say, I was so busy with my day job. I just wasn't as on top of it as I would have liked to be. So that is one thing I would like to curb for May. I'd like to get back on top of cooking, planning meals, using the slow cooker and just making sure that we're having meals that uses up a lot of what's in the cupboard so that I'm not constantly buying new stuff. So really hoping to sort of try and curb that back down to around the 200 mark. But obviously food prices are always going up as well, so it is quite difficult to get that bill down. Callum's lunch was £80, not 60. Petrol, £40 seems to be a really good amount for me every month. Health, I ended up spending £25. What was that for? Oh, that was for something called Simprove. So I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like a probiotic in live form. You keep it in the fridge. And to be honest, it's been really, really great for my stomach. And I just needed a friend of mine gave me a bottle to try, and I did see an improvement. So I decided to buy my own supply. I do have a discount code for this as well if you're interested in trying it. I know lots of people have heard of it and they're not really sure, whether to go for it or not because it's not cheap. But like I say, I'll leave the discount code below. Personal I did an amazing job here. I only spent £9.05, and I was really trying to not spend my personal money. I did challenge myself not to spend my personal money because I'd really like to build that up so that I have a bit of a pot. And, you know, the argument could be that I should reallocate that money and use it to pay off debt or something, but I'm really just trying to build a little bit of money so that if something does come up, like there's a gig I want to go to, or I want to go out for dinner with my friends, I have a little backup that is just money for me to spend. So I try to go through the whole month with spending as little money as possible, and I'm really happy that I managed to get to that. That said, I also, as you will have seen, was a little bit under in terms of my income, so I didn't actually have the rest of the £200 left over because I had to spend all of my money elsewhere. So I don't know whether I'm actually going to have this little savings pot of personal money because I didn't actually manage to save it and keep it to one side because of everything else costing money. But I'm really pleased that I got through the month only spending £9 anyway, because it meant that I didn't go over budget in total. Household, I had predicted 50, but I spent 125. This is a recurring theme. There just seems to be a lot of things that are like going wrong in the house that need replacing, that kind of thing. I have like bulk bought some kitchen roll, some toilet roll. There are like a number of things that I've bought within that should keep us going for a while, but I've allocated less for May, and hopefully we can start to get that bill down because that was quite a lot again. Dog walker was exactly on the money at £320. Travel was less again. I didn't go into the office very much because it was half term and I was able to work from home, and then Sid had his operation, so I worked from home to look after him. So I just wasn't going into the office very much, so I saved some money there as well. Callum's clubs were 35 as predicted, no money on clothes. Amber's clubs, £55. That was for her gymnastics that she does before school. So I forgot that I was going to need to pay that again because it's a new term, but I have paid it. My lunch, again, because I didn't go to the office very much, it was only 2 lots of £4 rather than 4. Eating out was higher. So that was because it was half term. And like I said before, I have been crazy busy with work. And there were just a couple of times where I just didn't have the energy to cook, and this is where I want to get better at like pre-planning, and having something in the slow cooker is always my downfall when I'm really busy with work. So £186 there, but like I say, it was half term as well. So kids activities, we had 50 quid, we spent 34.50. I guess some of that could have been seen as like eating out because if I ate out it was with the kids. So yeah, gifts, I had budgeted 40, didn't spend it, which is lucky, like I say, because otherwise I would have gone over budget. £80 went straight into the kids, their debit cards, they use GoHenry, and they get £10 each per week, £5 automatically, and 5 if they are helping around the house without a fuss, which and like there's other little chores on there as well. Dogs, allocated 800, so this was basically for Sid's operation. It ended up being 900. That is encompassing of his operation and a scan. He does unfortunately have hip dysplasia, I think that's what it's called. So we had, while he was under, we got the scan as well, so that's why that's quite high, because they said they wanted to do the scan under general anaesthetic anyway, but I would have had to pay for that again, so I wanted to do it all in one go. That also includes buying him a number of things to stop him from chewing his stitches, which he kept chewing. I think I spent about 30 or 40 quid on like rubber rings and cones and stuff like that because he was just a nightmare. I just had a knock at the door, so I can't quite remember where I was, but I think I was saying that Sid had his operation, ended up costing about £900 all in. But I'm so glad that that's out the way now. I'm really happy that he is happy, healthy. We know what's going on with him. We know that we've got a plan for his hips, and his operation has been done. So I'm really, really pleased, and I'm really grateful that because of having the extra income I've had in the last couple of months, it's enabled me to be able to get that done and pay for it in cash and not get into extra debt for it. So yeah, just really pleased that that's done, to be honest. Miscellaneous, £3.40. And then moving on to bills. Childminder, £100, pretty much just exactly as expected. I think it was a very slight different, but I just put the £100 into the tax-free childcare account as it was. Council tax was £154.84. I think I slightly misjudged what I thought that was going to be. Vet for Sunny, vet for Sid, all as expected. Pet insurance, pretty much as expected. Breakfast Club, £35. Amber is no longer going to be going to Breakfast Club, so that's a saving that I will make going forward. We also need to have a think about her childminder as well, because there are not as many kids the same age as her there anymore, so she's not really enjoying it. So we just need to, when I went back to work in January, we set up this childcare situation. I just need to have another rethink about what the best option is, see what clubs are available, because yeah, she's just not really enjoying the childminder anymore. She's been going there since she was 2, and it's like, I kind of don't want her to stop going because they've been part of our family for such a long time. But yeah, we'll just work out what's best for her, because she's obviously almost 10, and kids do get to an age where they outgrow certain settings. So yeah, we're going to have a think about that and a talk about that. Spotify is spelt wrong, but that was £19.99. Callum's phone was a tenner. Mortgage was £955. Energy I had at £150 and it's actually £166. I don't know how we're using so much energy still when it's warmer, but I think it does keep having cold snaps. The kids are terrible for leaving the heating on as well. Life insurance didn't come out. I think it's just because of when the weekends were. It's probably going to come out of next month twice. Water 58, internet 88. That has gone up again. So the next payment for the internet was like £95 or something, but no longer. Soon there will not be this bill. It's ridiculous. I'm changing providers. Home insurance £36, and then car £137.80 as usual. Then on to savings. So I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do in savings because, as I said, my income was a little bit lower and my expenses were a little bit higher. I was able to put £20 away for Callum's birthday, £100 for my car insurance, but that's actually really car maintenance. I've decided to just keep putting in £100 every month, which will give me more than I need for car insurance, but I need a new tyre because I've got a slow puncture. So I'm going to take it out of that money, and I just need to keep replenishing £100 a month, which will cover me for all of my car related things. Emergency, I did manage to put £100 in. Amber's birthday got 50 quid, gifting got 20, stuff for kids, just general, like if they need a new pencil case or they need a new coat or I don't know, whatever. 40, oh no, not clothing because I've got a separate one, but yeah, 40 quid for stuff that kids need, £40 towards clothing. This is like sinking funds. And then £40 towards stuff that might be needed for the home, because as you've seen, I keep overspending on my household category. So I'm trying to split that now between stuff that we actually need, that's kind of consumables like kitchenware and stuff. But then when I needed to replace the bin, really that should come out of a sinking fund that I have for the house. So I'm trying to build that up now. I didn't have enough spare money to put anything in our ISAs or anything like that. And then my debt payments were, again, similar to what I had expected. The loan is always the same from Santander. MBMA just under the £600 that I predicted. Virgin, I thought it'd be 300, it came in at 198. Amex, I thought would be 100, it was called 46. And then PayPal credit, I had 300 and it's 259. So those came in a little bit under, which was helpful for the month, especially with the high expenses that we had going on with the dog's operation. So that is everything for April. Not a bad month overall, but some things I would like to improve for May. So let's move over to May. Okay, so this is May, and this is what I am expecting to happen for the month of May. My total income I have predicted at £4,830. That is a combination of my salary and an amount of money that I can pay myself from my business. You can see that there are some actual numbers in there. The actual numbers are also my salary, and I have managed to pay myself something from my business already. However, I'm expecting a few more invoices due throughout the rest of this month. So I will pay myself another top-up payment from my business, but that is obviously a little bit under where I was expecting it, but that's because I haven't paid myself the total amount that I think I can this month from my business. I'm also hoping to take an additional £500 dividends from my business, because I pay myself an amount every month, and then I hope to pay myself extra on top if I can. So I am hoping to pay myself a bit more on my sort of income from my business, and then additionally some dividends. I'm expecting to get £500 child maintenance this month, and then I would love to side hustle £200. I have actually started a new side hustle. I don't know how it's going to go down. I don't know how I'm going to find the time, but I will share more about that in due course. So that is a total of £6,030 expected for the month. So on to my expenses. I have an £85 as standard for dog food. We're really good on biscuits, so I might be able to come in a little bit lower than this because it would just be their fresh food that I buy. I've put £250 for food, so that's £50 higher than last month, and last month I did go over. If I spent the same as last month, I would come within the 250, but what I really want to do this month is focus on making sure that I'm just making the best use of what we already have, and I didn't feel like I did that last month. So it's not so much about the budget, but if I really focus on what I'm cooking and what I'm making and trying to keep low cost meals, then I should be able to come in under this number. But yeah, it's really about my sort of habits and focus and stuff rather than the number, because there's only so much you can do with food and keeping that budget down. And I already buy a lot of meals that are quite cheap to make, and we don't eat a lot of meat and things like that. Callum's lunch, I've put £80 because that's what we spent last month, and that is the normal amount usually. Petrol, £40, that's absolutely fine, I think. Health, I've put 20. That's just for like vitamin top-ups and things that might be needed throughout the month. I've done £200 again for personal. If I do manage to have extra income this month, I would like to give myself another £100 to make up for the £200 that I didn't have last month. But it'll just depend whether or not I am able to do that. Household, I've got £30 this month, 320 for dog walker, same as usual. Travel is 60. I've brought that down this month because I've realised that I just wasn't spending the £100 every month. Callum's clubs, I've got 40. Nothing for clothes, nothing for Amber's clubs because we paid for her gymnastics already last month. My lunch, I've put £16. I've put 100 for eating out again. I went massively over that last month, but I'm going to keep that down to 100 this month because the kids are in school anyway. Last month was half term and I probably didn't budget correctly for that. Kids activities, I've got 50 quid. Gifts, 20. Kids spending money, pocket money is £80 for the month. Haven't budgeted anything for the dogs other than their food, which is in a different category. I'm not expecting any other costs here, hopefully. And £20 for miscellaneous. So I'm expecting my expenses to be £1,411 for the month. Bills and subscriptions are pretty much the same as every other month. So we've got £100 for childminder, £158 for council tax, vet for Sonny and Sid, £23 and £22, and pet insurance is £53. No breakfast club payment. I actually haven't unticked these from, I don't know why I have them ticked, but I don't know why. I must have been doing something. So I'm just unticking those. So no breakfast club payment this month, which is great. It's a £35 saving. Spotify is £19.99. Callum's phone is a tenner. I've got the mortgage at 156. Phone is dealt with in a different account. Energy, I've got 150. I'm hoping it's 150 this month because we should be using less heating. Life insurance is 14. Water is 58. Internet is 88, but it's actually going to be 95. So that's annoying. I might actually just put 95 there, which that's not a bit that you're supposed to type over, but it doesn't really matter for this month. Home insurance, £36, and car, £138. So that's £1,832.99 for my bills and subscriptions. These numbers genuinely just make me feel a little bit ill every time, every single month. I just wish that I could get them all down, but I think I'm pretty careful with stuff. But yeah, anyway, then let's move on to debt payments. So Santander, I'm expecting to be the same as every month, £437.81. I've budgeted £600 for my MBMA credit card, £300 for my Virgin credit card, £100 for my MX, and £300 for my PayPal credit. So I tend to budget the same every month. That's £1,737, but the payments do come in slightly different every single month because every month something slightly changes with interest or whatever. It's very hard to keep tabs on what it's going to be. So they're all the things that I absolutely have to pay out. And then I've gone ahead and allocated all the remainder money to my savings and sinking funds. Now, this is the bit that will not go to plan if something else happens in the month. So this is like my ideal scenario. If all works out to be true, if I make the income that I want to and my bills stay where I want them to be, and I don't go over budget on any other my expenses categories, then this is what I should be able to put into savings. So £60 towards Christmas, £35 towards Callum's birthday, £100 into my car fund, car insurance, car maintenance fund, £500 into my emergency. That would be amazing if I could do that. £50 for Amber's birthday, £200 into gifting sinking fund, 50 quid for stuff for the kids, 50 quid for clothing, 50 quid for the home, so things that I might need for the house, £100 for school holidays. I'm trying to set some money aside for a sinking fund for summer holidays because I'll either use that money to pay for kids' clubs or for activities that we do as a family, but I'm absolutely going to have to work the majority of the summer holidays, so I don't know how I'm going to cover it. It's always such a difficult time and very costly. And then £20 into health savings, so that's probably saving up for me to be able to go to the dentist. I don't have an NHS dentist, but the children do. So yeah, it's quite pricey to go to the dentist. So based on all of that, we're looking at these totals. So it would be planned is £6,030 income, £1,411 expenses, £1,832 bills, and £1,035 savings, then £1,737 to debt, which would leave me £13.20, which was a good buffer to just have in my bank account. Let's see where we get to. So my kind of overall goals for my budget is to track it. I'm going to plan my weekly budgeting as well. I am going to do cash stuffing. I will film all of this, but in order to stay really focused on my budget, I do want to then break this down into week by week budgets. And I have actually created a little form for how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it on pen and paper, so it's really front of mind. And so it's really quick and easy to note down whatever I spend each day and then plug it into my spreadsheet as I go. I've been updating this spreadsheet maybe once every 2 weeks, and I would just like to get it to at least once a week so that I'm really, really on top of it, because I just really want to make some progress and save money where I can and limit spending where I can. So I think the best way to do that is to track every penny in a really close way, rather than just looking over the last 2 weeks of my bank statement to see where my money went. I want to be closer to it, if you see what I mean. So yeah, that is my budget for May. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my spreadsheet and you want to get your own copy, I will leave a link below. But other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for engaging. Do ask me any questions in the comments. I will always reply. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe and hit the little bell so you get a notification for the next video. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.